Somebody else? Yeah.
So does secular pro-life, does it strongly advocate for like better care for pregnant women and single mothers? Because it seems as if you're going to make the argument that like the bodily, what was the?
Bodily rights or
yeah,
integrity or autonomy.
Yeah, bodily integrity. If you're going to make that argument, when you say like, even if you use contraception, like you still had, even if like if you had consensual sex, you still did it with knowing that you had like a 1 to 9% chance of becoming pregnant. It seems like that's like would be really crucial, as well as like it would be really crucial to advocate for that. So like, is that
yes,
a really strong?
Absolutely, and this also gets a little bit into, which I didn't touch on in this conversation, into the pro-life feminism and what that means. So, as a secular pro-lifer, you get told that you're not really pro-life or that you're not really secular, depending on who you talk to. And you certainly get told that you definitely are not allowed to be a feminist, right? And I think that's really interesting because a lot of women choose abortion not because they like are very sure they want an abortion, but because they feel like they don't have a choice. Some women feel like they have a choice and they want to get an abortion. I'm not saying everybody is pushed into it, but overwhelmingly the main reasons cited for getting an abortion have to do with socioeconomic problems and things that could be fixed in a theoretical, much nicer society. And so we are big advocates for social support, especially since that's something that hopefully everybody can agree on, right? When you meet people who are providing better resources for pregnant women or providing better resources for women to not get pregnant without having to kill anything, right? Everybody should be able to be happy with that, and we're big on that. Unfortunately, we are a relatively small group for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And so we try to work on projects to help with that, but usually we work, if we do it, in conjunction with an already group who has much more resources. But we do blog posts on maternity leave, on social stigmas for single mothers and working mothers and student mothers. Sometimes we even specifically go into the relationship between certain religious beliefs and single motherhood and stuff like that. So we are very interested in that aspect of it. I feel like you had another question before that that I already missed.
No, like
okay.
I didn't say it. But to going back to what you said, so Plan B, most of the time what are considered like emergency contraceptives, what they do is they stop the egg from popping out of like the fallopian tube. So like they don't prevent it from well, they don't know if it like prevents it from
yeah, they can never say like 100% for sure, but
yeah, like integrating into like, because what it does is it aims to prevent conception as opposed to like stopping it from being
right.
in the uterine lining. So like in a way it's not interfering with.
Well, if it prevents fertilization,
is that fine?
It's
like, is
fine.
Yes,
right, yeah. Because that's like having a period. Like it's like nothing. We do not care about sperm and egg separately at all. And so if it prevents fertilization, we're not just okay with it. We think it's a good idea. If you're going to go ahead and have sex anyway and you don't want to be pregnant, absolutely, we think that you should use contraception that prevents fertilization. We advocate that. We also talk about how abstinence is the only 100% effective way, and people need to be aware of that. And some people have actually given me trouble about that, like who doesn't know that, but you would be surprised. I'm in a graduate program right now with very intelligent other women, and I've had conversations where they'll say something about, we're having a conversation in the context of the zombie apocalypse. We were talking about whether or not you would have sex in the zombie apocalypse, because in that context, it could kill you. Not just the pregnancy with no medical technology, but having a crying baby when there are zombies everywhere. It's very dangerous, okay? So we were talking about this. We weren't talking about abortion. And she, my friend, was saying that she thinks she'd be so depressed and everything would be so bad that she would want comfort, basically. And I was like, okay, but is this like suicidal comfort because of the risk? And she's like, well, what if you had condoms? And I'm like, duh. What if you did? I was like, there's still a risk. And she seriously made fun of me. She rolled her eyes. She was like, it's fine. And I was like, we need to have a conversation. I feel like this is crazy. And she is a very intelligent, educated woman. And she's still like, it's not that she literally thinks it's 100% effective. It's like people just don't worry about it, I guess. So I forgot why I was talking about.
That's okay.
But yes, so we don't have a problem with barrier methods. And also Plan B, to be fair, on the box, it does say that there's 3 possible mechanisms of action for it, and one of them is preventing ovulation, the egg being released so it can't be fertilized in the first place. And the other one is thickening the lining so that it slows sperm down, so it has a hard time getting to the egg, and we don't have a problem with either of those. The third one, it says, could be a possible mechanism of action, is preventing implantation. But what people don't understand, understandably don't understand, is that they're not doing this for the abortion debate. They're required to put any possible mechanism of action to cover all of their bases. And the time it takes, just in terms of government bureaucracy, to update things like that based on new research is very long. So their box has said this for a very, very long time, and people understandably will read it and be like, well, it says right here that could be a possible mechanism of action. But in fact, all the recent research suggests you can't say for sure that it doesn't happen. That's not, you won't be able to 100% say for sure. There's not a test we can do to make sure it absolutely doesn't happen. But all the recent research suggests that it's very, very unlikely. In fact, some of the recent research suggests that Plan B itself, just in general, is not nearly as effective as they thought it was. And if it's not very good at preventing pregnancy, it's probably not preventing implantation, because people are still getting pregnant. So anyway, just putting that out there.
Yeah, and just a side note on that, when people bring this up, it's not like they're trying to be kind of overly complicated and nitty-gritty, but endocrinologists and doctors who are familiar with all the hormones in the woman's body understand that it's a very complex thing, and they don't understand it entirely.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to know exactly what mechanism is working in all the different kinds of chemical factors.
Yes, and any just speaking just to Plan B in this case, any research you do read on it will not actually say it definitely doesn't do that. That's not what it'll say. It'll say, to the best of our understanding, this is what we think. Da, 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 da. So you're right. It's very hard to know, especially when you talk about that early. And can you imagine trying to get the relevant sample population to even do these studies? It's got to be tricky. So, anybody else? Yeah.
Is there an argument or a comment or something that you wish like religious pro-life people would not use?
Oh my gosh, are you sure we want to talk about
I'm
that?
just wondering because like if you're, because it seems like you have a great goal of like getting religious and secular people on the same side, like to be able to talk to each other, but is there something like, especially if you view yourself like on the same side as religious pro-lifers, and you're just like, every time you hear this, you're just like, you're making me look bad, like you're making my case harder?
Wow, that
like,
is such a good question, and nobody has ever asked me that.
Oh my god. I think that all the time.
Yes, there is. Okay, so I feel like there's different categories. There's some very, very obvious ones that I think the vast majority of religious pro-lifers also recognize are problematic and don't usually use, at least not the ones that are really in the debate. You might get like a high school pro-lifer who hasn't done a lot start off with that, but that's sort of just because they're a rookie. It's not really, so things like soul starts at conception and things that are just blatantly, obviously based on spiritual beliefs, I think most religious pro-lifers already recognize that that's not helpful depending on who you're talking to. And so I don't feel like I really need to even talk about that too much, because that doesn't, at least in the circles we run in, that doesn't come up that much. But there are other things that may not be so explicitly religious, but sort of rely on what I think are kind of religious assumptions that can be a problem. So for example, one of the ones that I have a big problem with is when you put a huge emphasis on natural versus artificial in terms of morality, because to a secularist, not to all secularists, but I think to most, and certainly to me, that doesn't mean anything. So,
like, what's an example of?
So, for example, some people, in the rape exception, hugely contentious issue, one of the arguments we hear a lot is that the womb is designed for the fetus and belongs to the fetus. It's meant for fetal life to grow in, and see, that's not explicitly saying God wants this, right? But it is. I actually know some secularists who go with that, but for the most part, when people say that, secularists are like, what does that mean? What do you mean designed for the fetus? Are you saying my body doesn't belong to me? Are you saying my body inherently belongs to entities that don't even exist yet? Like, what does that mean? And especially from a feminist perspective, you're like, we need to pause for a second, because I feel like you're saying that I am designed. I feel like you're saying I'm an incubator. I feel like that's what you're saying. And usually that's not what they mean. But I think that that's a good example of something that, like, it's not explicitly religious, but using phrases like designed for and meant for and like these sort of fate things, we're not into fate very much. And so that could be a problem. Another thing I would talk about that isn't an abortion argument, but in terms of inclusiveness, and we're actually, if you guys are interested, you should totally email me, because right now I'm in the process of researching, brainstorming, and putting together a brochure to give to pro-life groups to talk about how to increase inclusiveness. And I could use, specifically I could use the feedback from people of faith, because it's designed for religious people, and I'm not religious, so sometimes I don't know how I come off either. But there are issues that can really, they're not about arguments about abortion, but they're issues that can make secularists feel very hesitant, very weary about hanging out. And some of them could be like, if you talk to a room, which actually I've been guilty of all night, talk to a room assuming that there's mostly Christians in it when there might not be, or if you absolutely under any conditions start talking about secularists in a negative way, and you think nobody would ever do that, you'd be surprised how often that happens. They just assume everyone in the room agrees with them, and then you're sitting here like, this is so awkward. I feel like I should leave, you know? And yeah, it's happened. It's happened. And so just not so much arguments about abortion, but thinking always about who you're talking to, who you want to be talking to, and like imagine if you were having coffee with someone you knew was an atheist, how would you talk, you know? Just trying to be more just aware and inclusive. It's not a huge deal, but it is a problem. Like I said, the whole white tiger comment, it's hard to find secular pro-lifers, and part of the reason for that is there aren't many, but part of the reason for that is they don't want to tell anyone that they're secular pro-lifers, because secularists generally really do not like secular pro-lifers. I think they dislike us way more than you. Not you personally, but like way more than religious pro-lifers, because, and we've seen this, we have seen overwhelming hostility from pro-choice secularists at the existence of our group, seriously. And so we don't want to say anything when we're in our secular communities because people look at us like we have two heads. And then when in the pro-life community, it's not as bad. In general, I think religious pro-lifers have been very welcoming when they know we're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you might feel like you don't want to say anything. And then, and just in general, like this doesn't have to do with the abortion debate, just when you're with people who think differently from you, how do you act, right? So normally you don't walk up to someone and say, hi, I'm an agnostic, right? Normally you talk to them, they get to know you, and then maybe it comes out in conversation in a sort of organic way. But when we're doing this kind of work and people know that we're secular, most people are fine. But some people get a little weird about it, okay? And like they feel almost offensive, like they think that we are mad at them for being Christian or something, and they'll say everything in the context of this defensiveness that it can also be very awkward. So they'll say things like, I think it's so great that you're here and we're so glad to have you. I mean, I am a Christian. And I'm like, I know. And they're like, you know, and we like to say, God will provide, but you don't have to say that. I'm like, you don't have to talk like that. It's fine. And it's them trying to be kind. They're trying to be kind and welcoming, but it can just, you don't have to be weird about it. Just like, just talk to us like regular people, because really we are. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I could go on.